Hey everybody, it's Bust, and we're going to be playing some Mech Paladin in the All Commons Twist. And so before we talk about the deck, I do want to give the channel intro again. It's our second video within this new game space of Hearthstone, so I feel like we got to give a little bit of a heads up to the newcomers and the channel regulars alike. In terms of the newcomers, if you're seeing this fresh space in the space of Hearthstone, it's not my first rodeo playing this game. Kind of a competitive history for me, if you will. I grew up playing Magic the Gathering, qualified for the Pro Tour there, had a few caches and a few deep runs within the Grand Prix circuit and on the Star City Open, and then eventually kind of moved away from that as life goes on. Once Hearthstone came out, played it for, I don't know, 3 or 4 years, fairly competitively there as well. Hit Masters every month for whatever that amounts to anything, and did a little bit of the tournament circuit, although it was never really a big thing as I was playing. Once the auto battler scene kind of came about, I switched into that. And then when Legends of Runeterra came out, that was when I moved into content creation and focused a little bit more heavily into the competitive scene. And so for the past 4 years, we've played Legends of Runeterra. We put out a daily video in that space. The first 500 videos or so were all the draft format. They cut that out of the game, so we switched into the competitive mode. We've top aided one of the Grand Prix style of events there, and had pretty good success in the competitive space. But that game is now dead, at least in terms of the competitive or the PvP scene, and so we had to find something new to do, and that's where we've now landed back in this space of Hearthstone. Within Hearthstone, I typically focus in on Wild. In the space of Wild, we did typically hang out in the double-digit ranks and Masters, made a few single-digit runs in my day, and I typically just preferred the Wild, the Legacy format, as opposed to playing Standard. That's kind of what I tend to plan on focusing here with the channel, looking to play mainly Wild and Twist, but as I kind of cut my teeth again in the space of Hearthstone, we've got to figure out what we're going to be doing. As far as the regulars go, I'm sure most of my daily followers are well aware as to what happened with Legends of Runeterra. Through no fault of our own, that competitive scene is completely removed, and I had to find something to do. I know I kind of initially hinted that I was planning on playing Magic. I really like the competitive aspects that exist within Magic between the open events that turn up on Arena and just the tournament structure within the game. But man, the resource system within Magic really kind of grinds my gears, and I couldn't really build myself up to switch back to that kind of thing. So we're over here in Hearthstone. You know, we'll see where this path takes us. Hopefully we can kind of find a bit of a competitive scene here beyond ladder, but I'm not entirely certain what all exists within the game. Still doing, quite a bit of experimentation. And so with that out of the way, our second video, a second day of Twist, and this time we've switched over to Mech Paladin. And so I've been pretty happy with how this goes. If you're not familiar with the Mech Paladin, the big kind of build-around aspect of this deck is going to be Mechwarper, this making our mechs cost one less. Allows us to really kind of come out and flood the board between dropping a Mechwarper on the board, following up with, where you at, guy? Timeline Accelerator to draw a mech. If we have both the Mechwarper and the Accelerator on board, then that mech we draw is going to be -3 cost. We could probably play it for free, and it gives us a lot of angles to come out and very quickly fill up the board. One of my favorite aspects of these mech decks is what's going to be coming out of the Paladin kit as far as magnetic goes. I really enjoy magnetic. Getting access to these instant speed stats, rush speed stats, charge speed stats, whatever we call them these days, is something that I find very valuable within this format. And so that's why I really like jumping into Paladin. We get the Glow-Tron, we get the Bronze Gatekeeper, and then we're also sort of playing a similar space with the Goboglide Tech, having this 4/4 rush very easily taking over the board. And so the way that we're kind of looking for these games to sequence out is we're going to flood the board early. We have the cheapening abilities of the Mechwarper. We have a fairly low curve as it is. And then once we start popping off with that Mechwarper combo, we don't really want to be playing any more units. We want to get like one big burst or two big burst turns of the Mechwarper cost reduction, and then we're just done, right? I don't really want to spend turn 5 of the game dropping 3 copies of Mecharoo on the board. That's just a dog shit turn, right? And so we're going to try and flood out the board as fast as we can, and then use the unit buff stats towards the more end of the game. And so the Bonemare, the Fungalmancer, and the Blessing of Kings here to boost up those cheaper units that we were able to flood down. And so that's it. That's the deck we're doing battle with today. Let's go ahead and jump on in. Okay, I got to fix the record counter. We're not 2-3 just yet. Probably be 2-3 here real soon, but see how it goes. See, I've been pretty happy with this. I've been getting more in tune with the format. I feel like in the previous video, I'm still kind of getting familiar with what cards exist. Kind of having that gap of knowledge within the game has been kind of a pain point, but I'm getting caught up. I'm starting to get there. And so as far as this hand goes, these aren't the early game plays we're really looking for. Like Annoy-o-Tron is more of a supporting role as opposed to something we really want in our opener. We would prefer to put like turn 3 Mechwarper into the Annoy-o-Tron so the Mechwarper is protected. So I'm just going to go ahead and get rid of all of this. None of it strikes me as particularly strong against Warrior. It could be like Pirate Warrior, but more likely to me it's going to be some kind of Dragon Warrior control, Taunt Warrior kind of thing. And so we'll ship away the Consecration. Looks like it's going to be Taunt Warrior kicking off with I Know a Guy. All right, well we're going to be able to start slapping here on turn 2 with the double Mechwarper and the Glow-Tron, but that really kind of ties into why I was wanting to come out and play the cards like Blessing of Kings to give us the boost to our stats on board. Because we're going to really start popping, right? We're going to get the Mech Warrior into Mechwarper into Timeline Accelerator. The board's going to be completely full. But after we've done that, you know, we don't need more cheap, shitty units on the board. We want to boost them with the likes of Blessing of Kings or stat boosting things. And so with this, I think we'll prefer to just put this slow Mechwarper out. There's a reasonable chance that it will get popped by something like Bash, and so I feel fine going ahead and putting the preemptive glow thing on it. So if opponent does come down now and have like a slam plus execute, that kind of sucks, but I feel like this gives us the best chance to kind of come in and play around that thing. Now, slightly awkward, him picking up just the gigantic unit on board. I'm not amped about Blessing of Kings onto the Mechwarper, but I feel like that's the place that we're kind of stuck. So as long as he doesn't have the execute, I think we should be okay. He'll probably struggle to deal with this 7-6 stat line. It should just be bigger than all of the other taunt units that he could be throwing down on board, right? He's going to try and put down like a 2-6 on this turn, and we interact with that pretty well. Yeah, Rando 5-4. Not exactly what he's looking to do. So I think we want to just pop on board this turn. Like, we can play the Mechwarper, we can play the Accelerator for 1. And then at that point, like, I'm kind of done with our Mechwarper. I think I just want to send it to face after that. But let's see what turns up. So we get the Mechwarper in, we get the Accelerator, we're going to draw a dude. Should be able to play it. Oh, Annoy-o-Tron's fantastic. Gotta like seeing that. Then we'll kick in with the hero power. I'd prefer to save the hand of a doll for a real combat. So he might be able to punch through here. Like if he has Warpath would have been the card that was a little bit scary, giving him a more in-tune way to remove our blocker and then come in on the Mechwarper, but didn't quite have it. So here it should be a pretty straightforward attack into the 5-2 with our 2-1. With the 3-6, like I lean towards just dropping Blessing of Kings or the Truesilver Champion in here. It's like we're not really worried about this Dragon Maw Scorcher. I mean, we probably just want to go face. Let's bring it in. I mean, I gotta feel like if he had an execute, he would have just already played it. It doesn't strike me as the kind of space to where he's gonna be like, "Oh, let's save it until turn 5 or turn 6 so that we can, you know, finally remove it." He would have smoked that unit if he had the chance. And so I think we're in decent space here. Gotta love see him searching for the taunt. Shit, this guy does 5 damage now. I've been dabbling with the dragons just a little bit. That's probably what we'll be playing in the next video. I'm so like stuck in 2017 or whatever these cards were big. God, it had to have been like 2015. It had to have been well before that. I'm just so used to that Drakewing Corruptor dealing 3 damage when it comes down onto board. There's been so many changes amongst these things. That's what I'm getting kind of picked up on, right? Like I felt like our Mechwarper there was safe. He really should have. Back in the day, back in Boomer times, he would have only needed to have survived the execute. But man, seeing that dude come down and deal to 5 damage, he deals with pretty much everything. All right, moving forward onto Rogue. I'm not like super excited about things like Clockwork Gnome in this match. The thing with Clockwork Gnome is you'll run into these awkward spots to where it's like turn 5, your opponent's cleared your whole board, and you need to get a rush attack in with a Goboglide, or you need just a mech on board. And it's very good at that. It's very easy as just something that you can kind of additionally play on one turn. It's not something in this space to where we're really amped to just run it into the rogue hero power. But I think we can coin out the mini-bots. I do like that, you know, depending on how opponent acts, we have the burst speed Glow-Tron to probably take down any of his units. And then that gets us into a little bit of a better space in terms of maybe getting this Clockwork Gnome on the board. Is that be a backstab? Sure. Nice shielded mini-bot. Let's get him. Let's zing him good. Get that Acolyte of Pain's right in that space. he says, I used to be a 1-3, but man, there's a top deck. That's how the pros do it right there. Watch me pick up my 4/4 right on the top. Very nice, very nice. Say a little prayer to RN Jesus. That's the way you gotta go about the game sometimes. It's short. Still building up here reasonably. I'm pretty certain we'll just send our 2/2 into his 1/1, but we're still feeling a little awkward with this Clockwork Gnome. It's a pretty nice bronze Gatekeeper though. He doesn't seem like he's gonna have fantastic answers to this. I don't know. It just doesn't. I'm not familiar enough with the format to know if we really need to be taking down the Jade Golem. It strikes me as no. Like, I don't think that there's a ton of rogue stuff that lets you bounce a unit or lets you just automatically kill a unit. I felt like it's probably pretty safe, but you'd have to give me another week before I feel really confident in that attack as opposed to just taking down the unit. Goboglide Tech Glider, turn him back up. You gotta like that. And so I think we'll just kind of continue in with our mini-bot. You know, it's another one of these spots to where if he didn't have the answer for it last turn, I don't really believe that he has the answer for it this turn. This does give us a chance to kind of clean up his board a little bit more. Happy enough with that. And then the Clockwork Gnome, you can still just stay at home. We'll find a turn to get that down. Against the Lackey Rogue, we should find plenty of good targets for the Silver Hand Recruit to attack into. And so we'll keep the value in our hand while we can. Man, as I was kind of preparing for this today, I was thinking, like in our kind of recent space of Legends of Runeterra, we're talking quite a bit. Oh, there's one. Oh, we lackeyed into this thing? Sure, he discovered Rando's spell to get it done, I guess. But no, in our space of we gotta get our units protected where we can. Gotta hang on to, well, let's be mana effective here. We're just gonna play the Bonemare next turn 100% of the time. And he's gonna be pretty well set to being able to take down a 2 health unit with his weapon and his attack, and he's just gonna take down the 4/2 instead of the 3/2. So let's go ahead and burn the spell to get the stats. But no, like I talked quite a bit about Warden of the Tribes, and Warden of the Tribes being able to live in that space of, you know, I felt like it was a healthy format if Warden of the Tribes was good. That's how Baneslayer Angel was in Magic for a very long time, and that's how I feel like Dr. Boom was in Hearthstone, as to where, you know, it doesn't like do a ton of stuff. It has some synergies in terms of, oh, this is dick. In terms of being able to activate mechs and activate go wide strategies and maybe land a boom bot onto something that can give you a little prayer to RN Jesus. But, you know, like it eventually got to the point, especially in playing Wild, that cards like Dr. Boom were just no good. And it feels like this is probably the world that we're living in Hearthstone, as to where I'm sure Dr. Boom sees like literally no play, but just having that kind of board-centric unit out and running around would kind of indicate you're in a healthier format. All right, this is brutal. That spell he RNG'd into was pretty tough in terms of just destroying our unit. I have to imagine there's only a handful of spells that would have come in and been able to take us down like that, but we still have a shot. We can still just start sending to the face and maybe get the takedown with the Truesilver Champion here. If he's not able to, get a taunt on board, it should be quite a bit of ramp up it takes for him. And so if we get to Nug next turn for 9 and then have 2 turns of Truesilver Championing, we should be pretty close to getting a lethal, right? Trying to do Jade shit at this point is going to be pretty slow. He's at Jade 1, I think. Look at that. RNG'd into a taunt as well. As we like to say, it's a very interesting space how you want to spend your RNG. It was much less relevant in the Lands of Runeterra. I think people really complain about the RNG in Hearthstone, but at this guy's space here, with the way that he's really approached this game, do you think that he should have gone out and just purchased lottery tickets because this is the luckiest day of his life, or B, he wasted all of his RNG on a children's card game? Oh boy, and a Faceless Summoner. Sure. I don't know. I'm really leaning towards he wasted his RNG. I don't know. If it comes down to it, I'd rather be winning the Powerball than winning a game of Hearthstone, but opponent disagrees. Opponent approaches life in a different way. He says it's not about the money bust. It's about achieving victory, winning a mental battle, taking your opponent down in the spirit of competition. I don't know, man. All that competition all once. Picking the right number on the Powerball. I'll even accept the tie. 2 winners. That sounds good. But I don't know, man. It's like as I was talking about Magic and like the issues I was having with Magic in terms of finding a game and coming back in, like I can stomach what just happened in that game with RNGs just blessing the opponent. The thing I can't really stomach anymore is being in these spots to where I just can't play my cards, and I feel like that's what I've really ran into more and more with Magic. Is there's just so many games that are non-games, and it can even happen on the opposing side of the table, as to where your opponent mulligans to 5, they're rarely winning that game, or you have a 2-land start and never draw another land, or you don't draw a second land until like turn 5. That game's just a non-game. You're done. You're never winning. And it just felt like so much of that stuff brought itself forward playing Magic that like I can't stomach that. I can't stomach just like not being able to play my cards, to where that game the opponent high rolled and it was like whatever. That'll kind of balance itself out over time. But that space in Magic just hurts so much. Alright, but I think this is fine. We can take this a little slow. I've seen a little bit of the Warlock come about, but I'm not like seeing a ton of discard synergies off of the Malkazar's Imp. Like, I'm not certain exactly what that's supposed to bring about, but I haven't seen, like, I don't know. I'm used to the discard Warlock was a very big thing during one of my 10 years of this game, and it just doesn't seem like that's what I'm getting out of the Imp. We're still going to come in and just take it off of the board, but I don't know. I don't know what to really expect out of it. Rip Mechwarper. Big demons. Alright, that's a serviceable turn. This is an awkward one with the mana. I would really prefer to be mana efficient this turn, and then we can drop Fungalmancer next turn. I don't know the rush units that exist. Like, I'm fine to trade our 2/2 into his 4/1. I'm also like just leaning towards playing Annoy-o-Tron along with the Silverhand Recruit, And then that opens us up next turn to maybe either playing Gorillabot along with a 2-cost mech, but I'd really be like prefer to just take the most expensive mech that turns up within our deck. And then we also have the Fungalmancer option next turn, which seems fairly reasonable with 3 units on the board. I think we can probably take that. I don't think this is too greedy. I mean, is he going to like Mortal Coil, Dark Bomb, or Annoy-o-Tron? Like that seems shitty. And so, like even if he devotes a bunch of resources into the Annoy-o-Tron, like his trades for the Imp just suck. I think this is safe. But you see, like hands like this are why I kind of like playing that 1 copy of Clockwork Gnome. Like, don't get me wrong, it's terrible in this space. Like, this is absolutely not a board where we want a Clockwork Gnome. But we are in the space of very realistically losing all of our mechs. And just having access to being like, okay, well, here's a 1-cost mech, and here's a Gorillabot, and then here's like a 3-cost mech off of it, and that's a fairly reasonable turn 7. That's the thing that we're kind of hoping for in that space. But the board clears be too good here. I'm not certain what the opposing Warlock deck is trying to do in terms of flooding the board with the little imps. Like, I don't think Warlock typically has some kind of just like full board unit boost kind of thing. But it still feels like we should be clearing. Sure. Let's see if that Wind Fury pops up. This guy used to be too good. I remember this guy getting nerfed. He said it all came down to whether or not he could hit his Wind Fury. He did it here. We can still manage. We got the Truesilver Champion in hand. Ooh, the Goboglide Tech turning up. You gotta like that. He plays on this board perfectly. Let's lead off with the Gorillabot just to see what turns up. Huh. You know, I would usually lean towards the anti-kill bot, but our life total is so high, I think we just take the 6th cost at this space. Alright, clear board. And then you gotta feel fairly decent about this space, right? I don't know. Gonna drop 2 Mortal Coils and just get the clears off of our dudes. Alright, that's not a bad round. Boost a demon, sure thing. Not a bad round. So I think we can wait on the Stegotron. Not too worried about getting him on board. Like, the opponent's not going to be getting rushes off of these Scarab Eggs or anything. It's just a little mana inefficient this round. But it seems okay though, right? He's going to start doing Warlock stuff and drawing a ton of cards, but I think we have like just enough to get there. Buying or selling. As he comes out and draws a million cards. He is at least like spending his mana on a bunch of stuff that isn't adding a ton to the board. I don't know. Like, I wish I was a little more aware of this format in terms of, like, just how safe we'll be with this guy on board. I think we got to clear at least a little bit of it. That just strikes me as too scary. We won't trade out the Gorillabot though. Make him at least put in the work with the Dark Peddler. And then I haven't seen any weapon removal. Like over the course of my entirety of playing this all commons thing, I don't think we need to run out the Truesilver Champion at the risk of it getting blown up. Opponent says that's too much. You boomed me too hard, bust. Oh, we're climbing the ranks. Getting that gold. Where are we at? What's this? Gold. Go me. Oh my gosh, so many ranks. Legend before you know it. That's masters for the uninitiated. I forget what they call it in Magic. I think it's mythic. You hit mythic? I don't remember. We'll get there. Mastering the mythic legendaries. Alright, up against Warrior. This hand's Garbo. Gotta find some cheaper stuff. There we go. That looks a little stronger. No Mechwarpers, but other than that, I think we're okay. And then again, like with the previous Warrior, I don't think this is like typically Pirates as the Pirate comes down. We can still save the Glow-Tron for the magnetic attack. It doesn't strike me as the kind of matchup to where we want to be slamming that 1-cost unit early. Yeah, this is just a value Pirate, right? Interesting. Just running out the Buccaneer. Do these people not have weapons? Huh. We'll give it a huh. I don't want to get too invested in this board. You got to worry a little bit about stuff like Warpath. Warpath is the big pain point in these matchups. I think the Annoy-o-Tron's probably just fine on his own, though. Like, if he wants to coin double Warpath this turn, fine. You need to get a little bit of aggression happening, though. Game's going a little bit slower paced than I would like to see. And then what's our willingness to just get trucked by a Warpath? Like, I think the Mecharoo's fine, but then we should just start switching into the Silver Hands. We get beat down so easily by the one card. It's not like we're losing out on a ton of aggression dropping Silver Hand. Shielded Minibot's not a particularly aggressive bro. Interesting, he drops the Execute on a 3/3. I did the mathematics there. He's not a very big unit. All right, well, just waiting for it. waiting on our parade to get rained on. Feel much better if a Blessing of Kings turned up or something as opposed to putting all these shitty units on the board. There it is. I don't know. Maybe we should have just played the Truesilver Champion last turn. There's Fungalmancer here to laugh at us as we get slaughtered by the AoE. But I mean, we do still have a unit on board that's ready to get Bonemared. So we should be able to react a little. Ugh. Guy's huge. I don't think we can fight through that. Like, if the Fungalmancer had turned up a turn or two earlier, to where we could have kind of taken a couple of guys out of Warpath range, I think we would have been fine. But I mean, over the course of this game, we just did like literal nothing, right? We just put a bunch of 2/2s on the board. We didn't draw the second half of our deck. And we're eyeballing this bronze Gatekeeper, unable to do anything. I don't know. We still have an opener here, I guess. Let's see where that stands, right? I mean, he's not currently big enough to take down the 7/7. You can't have, like, there is a Divine Shield Rush Dragon that would be fairly annoying, but oh my god, it's going to be a double spell power into Warpath. Okay, just the slam. Only actively got 12 in hand. We really needed that that Silver Hand Recruit to do it. Would seem pretty reasonable. You know, if he's just going to play random non-interactive dragons, then we just have it. You really needed to have a taunt or needed a way to interact with the Silver Hand Recruit. Yeah, we gotta fight through another taunt. Yeah. Where are we at, RNGesus? Are you gonna be enough? Are you gonna be enough? Did we get there? I think we got there. LOL. That's how the pros do it. Market a W for bust. Good stuff. Good stuff. I thought that one was done. I signed the check on that one hours ago. What was it? Oh man, what was it that oh, the Seahawks quarterback, Geno Smith. I forget what he said. Everybody wrote me off, but I didn't write back. That's what it was. That's how that game felt. Already wrote the game off, but Bonemare wasn't writing back. He said, "I got this, fam. Look out." Good stuff. All right, final battle. Let's see how it goes. Got my lottery ticket signed and ready. That's what we did last game, huh? The Consecrate into the card draw into the Blessing of Kings just to get the damage in. Oof. Oof. I'm still curious about these timeline accelerators. I saw one's going to be coming into our opener. Like, it's just like such a shitty unit, but like dropping it on 3 and then drawing a mech and immediately playing the other mech, it feels like I'm not giving this guy enough credit in our opener. He's not really a 3-drop, right? Well, I guess he's technically 3-drop, but like playing him on turn 4 and drawing Gorillabot and then immediately following up with another Gorillabot seems pretty decent. Interesting open with the with the no target abusive sergeant. You're gonna get popped by a flame tongue totem. Is that what happens in these spaces? Too old to know. Let's get the Minibot on board. He's not winning any of these combats with the flame tongue totem, right? And so at least this way, if he rolls a 2 health totem, then we can kill it with the Minibot. Annoy-o-Tron doesn't necessarily let us do that. That bomber here to fuck things up. Alright, who we got? There's that Gorillabot. I think he'll be good. We gotta... I have to imagine that we can follow up pretty reasonably with the Blessing of Kings on these upcoming turns. Now, the question is, do we want this War Gear? Right, next turn we're going to Blessing of Kings. I'm kind of like assuming in head that our units are going to survive because of the Blessing of Kings, right? Opponent's going to play some kind of unit on curve. We play the Kings, attack it, get the takedown, and then we have 2 units on board on 5. for the Fungalmancer, but if that doesn't come together, then we really want the Spider Tank, so we can Spider Tank into Annoy-o-Tron. Maybe it's too greedy to take that big one. Like, opponents is very clearly playing some kind of very, you know, aggro-heavy kind of deck if you're playing turn 1 Abusive Sergeant and stuff, and so maybe it's just safer that way. Like, if we don't get to spend all of our mana every turn, then we're gonna struggle. But see, this is the angle I was assuming we were going to get to take, right? He's going to play something on curve. We play the Kings. We have 2 dudes on board. Now we're open to Fungalmancer on our next turn. Should be pretty tough for him to remove these dudes. Even having Hex coming in, we can Fungalmancer if we need to still. It's not a horrible target to hit. Fell apart a little bit there. I mean, I guess that turn would have been okay if we had the War Machine or whatever it's called instead of the Spider Tank. That's kind of close. Maybe I wasn't giving our hero power enough credit. Like, the thing that I've been thinking about over the course of the past day of practicing with this deck is just like, the Paladin hero power is so good. getting these dudes on board just feels amazing. And I kind of let that slip on the day. Second Hex. Alright, well, that's annoying. Straight out here just ready to slam. Our units aren't in great order now, but... Right, well, I guess it's okay. And it's trying to envision where we want to drop this Fungalmancer, and we're never going to be able to drop it on our 2 bigs. Right, dropping some Fungalmancer onto the frog. A little unappealing. And a lightning bolt. You got to feel good about this now, huh? Got to. So how are we going to drop this? I want to do Fungalmancer this turn. Like, I'm just going to send the Bonemare into Rotten Apple Bomb. Maybe not. Maybe not. Well, yeah, like, I think the Bonemare's fine, but maybe we Truesilver Champion into his guy, and then we still get to Gorillabot and play another unit. I think that's okay. I meant to play him to the left of the Silver Hand. I'm not certain what happened there. Alright, but super far ahead, right? He's got no cards in hand. We still have 3. We have a giant board. This game's done. Calling it. Calling it. This game's over. The classics. The classics rolling through. Now we bring in this. Oh, you're just reborn? I thought this was magnetic plus reborn. Yeah, whatever. Whatever. Alright. Let's get to this next turn. We'll call it a day. Call it a victory for old butt stuff 420. Feeling pretty good about it. GG, my dude. Consecrate and stuff. Send them in. Animations are done. GG. Let's pull this up, talk about it a little bit more. And so, you know, not a bad set of games. Oh shit, I'm I'm used to having to go to runeterra.ar to pull up the deck list. I forgot that we got to just pull it up in the client here. But no, not a bad set of games. This, you know, played out the way that most of my practice work has with this thing. I'm pretty happy with how this list is. Depending on how the meta shapes up, the higher up we climb up the ranks, I can see, you know, a couple of swaps you might want to make in this deck, whether or not you actually want that 1 copy of Clockwork Gnome. He is pretty weak, right? In this game, he was pretty weak. In the earlier games, he was pretty weak. Like, as you move into, you know, more control-heavy decks and against more people that are managing their boards a little bit better, then having the cheap Clockwork Gnomes on board just isn't that ideal. Maybe it's something that we ought to just look more towards in like a full constructed meta, to where you have more mech activators than just like the Goboglide, right? We just have a very small number of activators here, but man, that can be so important though. Like, you know, if you're, again, like if your opponent full clears your board, you really want to get a rush on the Goboglide Tech. Having access to that 1 mana mech is a very important thing in the mid game. And so maybe like the high roll swings with it are just worth it, right? You know, the average is, you know, enough to where like the games to where it's good, it's very important and it's very good. The games where it's bad, it's very bad, but they average out to be, you know, a 7. Maybe not. I'd have to play another 40 games to make a good decision there. But otherwise, I've been pretty happy with how this is playing out. I like the kind of sequence in the game plan we have with this, to where we're going to get the cheap mechs on board early, and then we're just done with mechs. And we start coming in with the unit boosters, the Fungalmancers, the Bonemares, the Blessing of Kings. It tends to, you know, give you both burst speed damage for the folks of Runeterra, while also limiting those hands to where it's like turn 6 and you have a handful of 1-drops. And so I've really liked how that's sequenced out. Nonetheless, good set of games. I had fun with that. Hope you did too, because that is going to do it for us today. So if everyone enjoyed the video, maybe learned a thing or two along the way, had a good time watching. This is Bustin' Me. Thank you for being here.